Hello, I'm Lynda Kinkade, live at the CNN headquarters here in Atlanta, and this is One World. And we begin with the first major commitment to come out of the COP26 climate summit in Scotland in what's considered to be a make-or-break moment for the future of the planet. More than 100 world leaders are vowing to end and reverse deforestation by 2030. The landmark deal aims to significantly reduce carbon emissions and promote biodiversity by keeping forests healthy. Dozens of countries have also signed on to slash methane emissions by 30%. The US president announced new regulations in his most meaningful effort so far to combat climate change.
This isn't just something we have to do to protect the environment and our future. It's an enormous opportunity. It's going to improve health, reduce asthma, respiratory-related emergencies. It's going to improve the food supply as well by cutting crop losses and related ground-level pollution. And it's going to boost our economies, saving companies money, reducing methane leaks, capturing methane to turn it into new revenue streams, as well as creating good-paying union jobs for our workers.
And in a move that could serve as a model for other developing nations reliant on fossil fuels, the US, the UK and the EU have agreed to fund South Africa's transition away from coal. A lot to cover. CNN's chief climate correspondent Bill Weir joins us now from Glasgow. We also have our David McKenzie from Johannesburg. I want to start with you first, Bill, on the developments today. Significantly, the fact that these world leaders have agreed to end deforestation by the end of this decade.
It is certainly huge, if true, especially since that pledge is joined by Russia's Vladimir Putin and Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro. Those two countries lead the world in the rate of deforestation. All told, humanity cut down the equivalent of 100,000 square miles of forest in 2020, 250,000 square kilometers, an area the size of the UK or the state of Colorado. And it's not just the loss of the greatest carbon capture machine ever invented, which is a tree. It's the biodiversity crisis that's happening, the extinction rates among birds, insects, animals, that's happening at such a staggering rate, and of course the health of indigenous communities within these countries, over 100 of them joining this pledge. They oversee 85% of what's left of the world's forests. So if they hold true to these pledges, that could be a massive boon for environmentalists. Those here, in fact, we heard from one activist who said this is sort of like the Paris moment for the forests, for wild spaces and what's left on Earth. Again, if they hold true to these pledges, it's worth noting as well, though, Brazil's contingent was supposed to appear at a talk on the health of the environment, but they did not show today.
Right. And the other big announcement, Bill, if they stick to it, as you say, is the fact that dozens of countries have signed on to slash methane by 30%. US President Biden was talking about it being an opportunity and the other benefits that will come from it in terms of cutting asthma and increasing crop production and making jobs. Exactly.
And you realize that, methane is essentially natural gas. A cleaner bridge fuel was built than coal, but still hugely harmful given that it's so much more potent than carbon dioxide in the short term. Just the Permian Basin of Texas and New Mexico leaks enough of this methane to heat 7 million homes a year. And so if those companies could capture that, it's a new revenue stream for them as well. Agriculture, animal agriculture especially, is another big contributing factor. But there are plenty of folks trying to come up with sort of regenerative, sustainable cattle production. Even some places where they're experimenting here in Europe with masks that cows would wear to catch those gases as they burp out. But the U.S. president is relying on an executive order from his Environmental Protection Agency to crack down on big oil companies to do this, to catch these leaks. But at the same time, the Supreme Court of the United States is about to hear an argument from Republican-led governors and coal companies challenging the EPA's authority to even regulate greenhouse gas pollution. So again, the big messy democracy that is the United States, so many of these promises are in flux given the reality of Congress and the courts.
Yeah, certainly a lot of innovation up for discussion to tackle these issues. Bill Weir, good to have you there for us in Glasgow. I want to bring in David McKenzie, who joins us from Johannesburg. And David, South Africa is one of the most coal-dependent nations in the world. And we have heard how the US, the UK, Germany, and the EU are going to help fund South Africa's transition away from coal. You went into a mine in South Africa. Just explain what you found.
Well, let's talk about the details of that deal first. And like Bill mentioned, pledges are one thing. Actual concrete action to end the climate crisis is something else. And that requires a lot of money and a lot of political commitment. So this deal in the short term will provide $8.5 billion from those countries in financing of various kinds to help South Africa end its addiction to coal. And it certainly is an addiction.
Treacherous steps into the blackness with illegal miners.
So we're going deep into this mine. It's a disused mine. But coal is so important in this country that even the old mines, people will go down like this in dangerous conditions and get what they can.
What Anthony Bonkosi can get, just $3 for a bag of coal to support his grandmother and sister. Here they work with little ventilation or light. If they get trapped, no one will come to help.
We have lost a lot of them. Others with the collapse of the mine, others with the gases that it came underground.
So it's dangerous work.
Yes, yes. When you inhale that gas, you won't even walk even 50 steps or 10 steps. You just collapse. You become weak.
So why do you still do it?
I don't have a choice because I have to save my hunger. And not only me, those who follow me. I may die alone here, but what about those who are depending on me?
South Africa is a country dependent on coal, with hundreds of thousands of jobs linked to these mines. And its monopoly power utility and shaky economy almost entirely anchored on coal-fired plants. Eskom is one of Africa's biggest polluters, but it's all relative.
South Africa has contributed very little historically to emissions that have caused climate change. Why move away from coal at all?
There's this saying that the Stone Age didn't end because of a lack of stones. And I'm convinced that given current technological trends, the coal age won't end because of a lack of coal.